The next one I wanted to say was one that probably hasn't aged the best, but definitely had an impact on me as a child, and that's Nightmare on Elm Street. And I know now it's seen as a very much of a kind of a joke, the way the franchise went and the way that, like, you show that to, like, a teenager now, they'd be like, what the fuck is this? That's hilarious, because obviously it's been, it's been done so many times as Rick and Morty and The Simpsons, stuff, that everyone's kind of portrayed that premise. But if you think about it at its core, what that is, it's an excellent villain and it's an unbelievable concept. The whole idea of, like, sleep, someone getting you while you're asleep, it's so relatable. And I think it changes your whole perception on fear and what fear actually is. So that whole concept I just thought was so unique and works really well still to this day. And then the villain is just so ridiculous and so outrageous. Like, guy can, like, kill you in the most sadistic ways, but, like, use a pun on the way out the door while he's doing it. Now, obviously that has aged really badly now. But I think at the time, I think the impact that particular movie, especially the first one, and that was one of the ones, Chris, that you had mentioned about going into the video store, where I'd walk up and look at the cover of Nightmare on Elm Street and, like, be talking to my friends about this movie. And, like, we would just, like, let our imagination go crazy because maybe somebody's seen it or somebody's uncle's seen it. And you hear things about scenes and things that happen. And you're so terrified of the, like, even just the idea of this movie, even before you watch it. I don't think I watched it until I was, like, a teenager, like, to be honest, because I was so terrified. Like, and obviously it didn't live up to the expectation I built in my head. But I think as far as Mount Rushmore goes, the impact, and I think if you were to pick a Mount Rushmore of actual characters and faces to go, like Freddy Krueger would be there, like, straight away, like, so it wouldn't be one of my favorite, but I think it's so iconic, it just needs to be put out there.
Yeah. So actually, funny enough, when I was telling you about the video store, I specifically was thinking about Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm not sure which one, because I remember, like, that experience I did with lots of the covers, but picking up that and looking at the back, there's this stark memory of Freddy's giant head as he's halfway eating a girl in bed. And I'm just like, I don't know what is going on, but I hear my parents yelling yelling my name, trying to get me back. I'm like, okay. And I put it back. And like that one in particular, I was just dazzled by it, going, what is going, like, what is this? Like, I don't understand what is happening on this back cover here. But yeah, look, it's definitely one of the more modern figures of horror. So you've had your Creature from the Black Lagoon, Dracula, Frankenstein, Mummy, and that's more of that kind of that new resurgence and the new surgence of the Michael Myers, the Freddy Krueger, the Jason, and they kind of exist in that new phase, the new generation of horror, I suppose, from the 80s. Yeah. I actually agree though. Like I saw that even when I was a bit younger, and I actually was wishing it held up better, or like even at that time I was like, oh, that's what that is. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I was like, yeah. So I don't know, maybe for some reason from my vantage point, it didn't live up to the expectations I built, but I was also a child staring at that cover for years, and I don't think it ever would have matched what was in my head, to be honest.
So I've still never seen it, bizarrely, and I sort of know why I've never seen it. So it's like when I was a kid, when I'd walk home from school, I think we were like 8, and my friend had seen it, and he would tell me all about it. And it's like that thing of, like, when you hear it, the concept is so terrifying. It's like he gets you in your sleep. Maybe it was like 7, and like you have to sleep, so there's no escape, and that's fascinating. Like, no, there's no other kind of villain like that, So it brings up all those kind of things, and then he can do anything to you in your sleep. You're in the dream realm or whatever it is. So yeah, it's terrified the shit out of me as a kid. Like the very concept, and you see an image and the claw. And I think in the first movie, the first 1 or 2 movies, like that, you go in the video store, you see the cover. It was quite gory, and I know he became more of a kind of a jokey character as it went on with the puns and all that kind of stuff. I don't think they were so much there in the first film. It was a bit more. No. Straight, and gory and terrifying and mad and stuff. So like, yeah, just kind of like, but like that, you hear so much about it over the years. It's one of those movies you feel you've seen, even though you haven't seen it. And bizarrely, I haven't seen it. I've seen
weirdly, you probably don't need to see it. I know.
Oh, no. Like I
but...
nearly don't want to. I nearly want to kind of
Yeah.
let it live as this amazing thing in my head and not see it, because I've seen like bits of other ones and bits of it, and famously Freddy versus Jason, which I love. You know, Jason Voorhees fighting Freddy. I love that movie, and I love Jason X as well. It's a great movie, Jason in Space. But no, I haven't seen it, but you're 100% right. If there's a Mount Rushmore of movie, what was it, slasher movie guys or whatever, like that face has to be up there.
Even just faces, even just the faces. Like
the claw, he had two things. He had the claw and the face.
Yeah, if I was just designing the actual mount and it didn't have any significance other than just visual aesthetic, I'd put Freddy on it straight away.
Yeah, it's
funny too, because the title is a great title, Nightmare on Elm Street. I did always think, though, because they stuck with Elm Street, I was like, I'm not sure. I wonder what would happen. They may have had discussions of changing the street, because they instead they went all in on like it has to be that street, and they stayed with the name, and that puts them in that location. And it's like you could have freed them up creatively if they just changed the street name and it was a Nightmare on Oak Street or whatever, like, you know. And then there's like, look, we can go wherever we want with this, and Freddy is like find a new victim. But they really went with that's the house. The house has significance. Let's stick with out. So I've always thought that was a curious take. Right or wrong, who knows? But I wonder if there was conversations about, can we just change the street and then just give us creative freedom to go anywhere in the world, and then we find new people to terrorize because he lives in the dream world, so he doesn't need to be geo-targeting a specific location in real life.
But isn't it always like these movies, they start with like one simple concept, like it's really clear, defined concept, and it's like, better make a sequel. But the pool of what you're pulling from is so simple and small that like it's like you're just watering it down the whole time. You know, it like, how do you keep that going? Like, why does he need to torture? Like for Freddy, like my understanding is it was a personal vendetta. That's what brought him back. That was the hook. That's why he was anchored to those people. So you keep going. It's like, why is he coming back? Why is he coming back? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. He's one of the seminal characters that invented that never-ending sequel itis that happened in our in the genre itself.
Yeah.